Hi YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to today's video on YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing a weather forecast video, and yes, what I'm going to be talking about is Storm Amy, the first windstorm season of the 2025 to 2026 windstorm season. And yes, as we approach towards autumn time, the storm season is pretty much arriving. So much so that yes, we are getting much more colder and duller sort of, let's just say, days now. And it seems like, hey, the hot, dry summer, sunny summer days are straightforward gone, and there will be a totally and utterly distant sort of memory. And yes, we had issued a yellow to amber warnings of wind, according to the Met Office and the UK radar map, which I'm going to straightforward have a bit of a peep with. And it looks like the wind has gone relatively AWOL. Yes, I can definitely tell going by the door right next to me. Yes, this is not a Halloween Holocaust sort of scene, but hey, mind you, seeing that was totally and utterly scary. And I tell you what, guys, that wasn't me, it was the wind. There's no such thing as a ghost, but hey, that could be something totally and utterly different, eh? It is, of course, the bloody wind. God damn it. Yes, we had amber warnings of wind. Cough, cough. Anyways, so yes, I'm going to straightforward have a look of what's been happening so far around Friday afternoon. We had wind speeds of about 65 to 70, 80 miles per hour, which, yes, as you can definitely tell, going by this rainfall radar map, it's hitting Scotland. As you can see, it has caused a lot of power and travel disruptions. So far, we had a very deep autumnal sort of storm here, like a very deep low pressure, a very autumnal low pressure system, a very stormy one to say the least. And as you can see, the darker, of course, if you look at this chart right here on the top left, you can definitely see that the one that is almost close to black, or very extremely, well, let's just say like a plummy sort of blackish color, I like to call it. I call it plum because it's like a purple that's almost blending into black. And yes, as you can see, the wind speeds, they've been straightforward. Yep, it was briefly like that. Of course, it was like that. But then, yes, as I can definitely tell, the wind speeds have been straightforward, clocking up towards, 70, 80, briefly above 90 miles per hour, but it's now just most likely 80 to 89 miles per hour. Now, that is death-defyingly very, very high, Imagine, let's just say, if it was a tornado sort of season like that, if it was during a hot, or let's just say a very thundery sort of event, well, guess what? And if there was a lot of instability, mind you, a tornado could potentially be formed. I don't know how weather systems seem to form like that, because I'm straight for becoming a bit of a meteorologist, but not really that professional at all. So in that case, hey, like hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones, and yes, there's been some really bad earthquakes in the Philippines, and a really bad typhoon season across Vietnam and Thailand. That's what we had so far. But let's take a look at the weather warnings. As you can see, we had the yellow warning for rain and wind across Wales and across Northern England and Scotland and Northern Ireland. You can definitely see there's been a lot of wind and rain warnings across, like say, they should have done it for mainland Ireland, but then people would say, nah, that's very much totally different. Okay, going by the weather forecast charts, you can definitely see that the percentages of the rainfall are quite very unique and very distinctive. Again, looking at those symbols doesn't exactly mean that rain is very much likely. It also tells you that rain is going to straightforward most likely fall, or how much rain are we going to be having. I think that percentage chance is most likely to do with, well, of just how erratic rain can be. And I think the fact behind that percentage of precipitation, which is relatively low, and yes, we're getting a wind speed of 19 miles per hour. Yes, we measure miles per hour instead of kilometers per hour. Strangely enough in our country. I don't know why we often use that. It's a little bit like measuring, imperial metric or chalk and cheese, if you ask me like that. Yes, Saturday is going to be another stormy sort of event of just how exceptionally windy it is. It's going to be really bad. I'll tell you what, 41, oh, look at this. Look how exceptionally windy is it going to continue tomorrow. Sunday should be fine, but Saturday? No way, look at that. 49 46 and 43 miles per hour. Now that is exceptionally windy. I tell you what, guys, very windy to possibly say the least. Mind you, if I was on an airport doing plane spotting, mind you, those planes would have had a very hard time to do some crosswind landing and that sort of crap. Honestly, I don't know how do I really look at this. Or should I just say stunt? Sorry, I shouldn't say the word crap because people will get totally angry about it. But yes, we have a very deep autumnal low pressure system, and then we've also got another one like that right over the bottom here as well. And as I keep scrolling along, that is then straightforward being replaced by another one. And it's just spits and spats of rainfall, after like a deep autumnal storm. We've actually got, showers. We're actually followed by some showery rainfall after the deep autumnal storms remnants are from here. The rest of it is still coming from Scotland, or already has made landfall in Scotland, but has now made landfall across, the Shetland Islands and other bits of Scotland, which I actually haven't got a clue of. What's this part of Scotland? Kirkwall, is that part of the Shetland Islands? Someone will get me that correctly. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know which one's Orkney or Shetland. I think these bits there are the Hebrides. Correct me if I'm wrong, but anyways, that is that. Right, okay, let's take a look at the BBC weather forecast and see how is it going on here. I bet the barometer, I bet that isotherm chart will definitely tell of just how exceptionally low. And actually, where is this coming from? Where is this storm coming from? And I don't know, I don't actually have a map to look back at via the BBC weather, but what I can do is have a bit of a flick through. I'm going to go up towards Thursday, the 2nd of October, and you can definitely just see how the storm is making its trek towards, look at that. It's straightforward already hitting, but it's not yet straightforward hitting that fully, I think. Let me just be right back. Okay, that is Storm Amy. It was named on the 1st of October by the Met Office, obviously, strangely enough, and there's been one fatality here. Strange enough, it has straightforward occurred since the 2nd of October. Very ratty and very bad start if you're very much planning to go outside or if you're some sort of meteorologist. But as you can see, hey, straightforward emigrated. Okay, I'm going to go up towards the 2nd of October because that's the one I'm actually going to straightforward look into. I don't like the 1st of October because I think for me that start was just relatively rotten. Okay, so what really happened was that everything was all crystal clear and all dry at the same time. And if I flick through, yes, going up towards the morning, nothing much has been straightforward going like so. And if I straightforward trek through like so, yes, as I can definitely tell, you can definitely see how this is actually going quite well. It didn't really emigrate that well to the Midlands. It wasn't raining that much. But as I keep on scrolling around, look what's happening. The rain has decided to make a bit of a barrage across towards... Yes, it's actually coming from a bit of a westerly to southwesterly direction. So the temperatures would have been a little bit milder, but I wouldn't think so. Maybe more of a sort of a maritime air mass. Maybe like a mix of a polar maritime sort of air mass. I might be totally wrong, but that's how I would have imagined so far. A deep autumnal storm forming somewhere across the Atlantic Ocean will be very much normal somehow with these windstorms. And I think that might be the main culprit. I think that is Storm Amy. Okay, I'm just going to scroll right around here just to see how this storm has trekked through, like so. Okay, I think the heaviest rain would have actually occurred somewhere across Scotland or the northwestern parts of England. Oops, and my tablet just moved, but yeah, it would have been straightforward like that somehow. But yeah, you can definitely see how that storm has been trekking so madly, and it's still straightforward raining, although the rain has basically stopped. It sort of looks like, if I go up towards my area, that being Birmingham, to possibly say the least, okay, zooming right in very closely, I can start to see that the rain has already made a very good sufficient amount of landfall. There you go, straightforward dumped a lot of rain, and it's straightforward moving eastwards. to allow other areas of rainfall to straightforward dump as I sleep. But hey, let's take a look at the BBC weather and see what to say. We'll see what the weather forecasters have to say without having my mouth completely and utterly intoxicated with sufferingness. Well, if sufferingness is a word or a real word to possibly say that matter, I'm going to start taking a look at the weather forecast. I'm going to turn on the loudness equalization.
Tumultuous 24 hours ahead of us. The weekend is actually largely dry, but it's the winds that could be a problem. We are going to see some rain on Saturday.
Not just rain, but flipping acorns. You forgot there, Shafalioza. But good work, by the way. Yes, 2025 was a massive bumper crop season for acorns. And clearly, if I remember the hot, dry summer that we had so far, and we had a drought at that time, and in fact, the rain that we just saw outside has actually replenished the drought so much. It really has beaten the drought to shame. So much so that, yes, guess what? We're going to have strong winds on Saturday from 1 a.m. to 7 p.m. How obvious would that be? Too dangerous, to possibly say the least. Not. Let's continue playing.
That's going to clear away quite quickly, but we could see gusts between 45 to 55 miles per hour through Saturday, from midnight tonight through to 7 p.m. on Saturday, and that could cause some travel disruption. But as far as the rain goes, well, we have got some moving through right now. The centre of the area of low pressure, which is Storm Amy, is moving off towards Scotland. But on the southern flank, we can see the winds are quite strong, and we've got a couple of fronts to come through as well, each of them pepping up the rain activity.
Hang on, is this... What the hell? Was that just a repeated frame? Why is the animation repeated? We already just had Storm Amy. Why is it hitting again on Saturday?
Right now, the centre of the area of low pressure, which is Storm Amy, is moving off towards Scotland. But on the southern flank, we can see the winds are quite strong, and we've got a couple of fronts.
What? It's already attacking. What is wrong with you, BBC Weather? You've basically already shown Storm Amy. It's already attacking on a Friday. It just happened. You didn't have to just to repeat the same animation.
So through this afternoon, some heavy bursts of rain. We could get some thunder in that as well. Locally, quite heavy. It's quite muggy today, though. Temperatures up to about 18 Celsius. It was quite a mild start as well, but because of the humidity, we're seeing quite a bit of low cloud and mist and murk around as well. We could see gusts of around 40 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour.
Look how fast the rain
winds
goes.
Pushing the rain through tonight, and it'll be followed by a rash of showers, some clear spells, dry conditions, lows of 9 to 10. But tomorrow, some rain slipping southwards, but dry by the afternoon.
But the one thing that you haven't done was blown winds. You didn't even show us the wind forecast. Lazy div. Anyways, I'm just going to start to have a look at the official BBC weather forecast. Like so.
Storm Amy, the first named storm of the season, has been battering parts of the UK through Friday and into Friday night, bringing winds close to 100 miles an hour in parts of western Scotland.
Tyree. Never heard of a place called Tyree.
Saturday across the far north of Scotland, gusts up to 85 miles an hour, but actually it will be widely windy across the UK. Squally winds with this band of rain clearing from the south. Another band of rain moving southwards across Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England. Real risk.
Look how old she looks.
The flood warnings are mounting up now.
There you go.
Week, of course. Heavy showers following, heavy showers ahead of it, and the rain continues for the far north of Scotland, which is where we will continue with the strongest, most damaging winds. But gusts of wind 50 to 60 miles an hour further south.
And 76 on top of northern Scotland. The very tip of mainland Scotland. Or the British Isles, as well to call it.
Very squally winds, particularly close to those heavy showers with thunder and lightning. As we go through Saturday night, Storm Amy continues to move away out into the North Sea. A ridge of high pressure starts to build in from the south, so that will tend for the winds to ease, the shower activity to ease, but we do see some weather fronts toppling into the north and west with time. But it does look like a quieter day of the weekend. The warning details are online.
Thank you, Helen Willits. But boy, oh boy, you do look like you're aging there. Oh my god. Anyways, let me just jump cut and move on to something else. Okay, I'm actually quite curious about this weather for the week ahead link right here. Let me just click on what it Sesame. And there's also a news report about Storm Amy hitting parts of the UK. We don't need to look at other stuff because the news is just so ugly. In fact, there's no excellent moral code when you look at the news. But there you go, we've just been looking at Storm Amy. Yes, schools have been closed. Yay, schools are out! Only for Northern Ireland. But anyways, yes, there's been a lot of cancellations for Northern Ireland and Scotland. And several Scottish railway services, which have been cancelled. The wind has basically caused a whole bunch of confusion and delay, hasn't it? And there you go, there's the wind speeds across Ireland, actually Northern Ireland and mainland Ireland, and then you've also got Northern Scotland as well too. Northwestern Scotland actually, although I think that there's northwest and that there's the eastern part of Scotland. Correct me if I'm wrong. My geography skills are a little bit too bad. Also, not to forget to mention, we've also got, is it the cold, flu, or COVID, and how to avoid the worst? Strange enough, why the hell do we need to have that news report right over in the scene? Well, do you know what? Let me just straightforward move on to something else, because, hey, let's not go ahead and take a look at that. But yes, here we go. There's been lots and lots of urgent warnings behind Storm Amy's major devastating sort of impact here. And let me just straightforward close and move on to the week ahead about the weather. Let's see how good or bad the weather's going to be like. Show us your muscle,
Storm
Darren.
Amy has been bringing the rain and the strengthening winds as well. And through Saturday, the focus of the strongest winds and the more likelihood of some damage and disruption is across northern parts of Scotland, where the winds could be gusting still in excess of 80 miles an hour. Here we're closer to Storm Amy. It's tracking across to the north of Scotland, but feeding in really windy weather everywhere. And through Saturday, there's some more rain around as well. This band of rain actually sweeping through Scotland, Northern Ireland, into England and Wales. On either side of that, there'll be some sunshine, but there'll be some heavy, blustery, if not squally showers, and some further rain across the far north of Scotland. It will be a windy day, probably a windier day, actually, for the southern half of the UK on Saturday. But again, the strongest gusts will be in Scotland, across the north of the country. But wherever you are, it is going to feel colder in the wind on Saturday. Temperatures will be lower, typically 13 to 15 degrees. Storm Amy, though, is going to start to pull away as we move it into Sunday. It's heading slowly towards Scandinavia. At the same time, it's weakening a bit as well, but still windy as we start Sunday, especially in the northeast of Scotland. Now, the winds do gradually tend to ease down a bit on Sunday. It won't be as windy as Saturday, but those winds will blow in more cloud from the Atlantic and maybe a few showers for western areas, whereas further east it's likely to stay dry and there'll be some sunshine around as well. So a bit of a quieter day on Sunday. And those temperatures begin to rise a little bit, so we're back up to 15 or 16 degrees. And heading into next week, we've got high pressure to the south of the UK, and around it, we're drawing in these Atlantic winds. And behind that weather front, we're in what we call a broad warm sector. So in between a warm front and a cold front, we've got warmer air. So that's coming in on those southwesterly winds from the Atlantic. It's coming in with a lot of cloud, the northern areas in particular, and we may well start to see a bit more rain developing in Northern Ireland and Scotland, perhaps the far north of England, heading into Monday afternoon. But further south, some sunshine. Look at those temperatures, back up to 19, 20 degrees, possibly reaching 20 or so across the northeast of Scotland, where we're more sheltered, and we could see some sunshine here. But with the weather fronts starting to arrive towards the northwest of the UK, heading into Tuesday, so we're going to find things turning a bit wetter in Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some of that rain could push into the north of England as well. On Tuesday, the winds are not going to be as strong, so the winds continue to ease down through Monday and through Tuesday. Maybe a bit more cloud around. Temperatures still pretty good for the time of year, 18, 19 degrees across parts of England and Wales. Not quite as high as that for Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've got the rain. That's on that weather front there. That is then going to move its way southwards. At the same time, a lot of that rain just tending to die out. It's quite a weak feature, this one, a bit of patchy rain heading into Wales, other western parts of England, perhaps towards the northeast of England as well. But not much rain on that. A lot of cloud, yes. To the north, we'll see some sunshine coming through, 1 or 2 showers into the far northwest. Cooler, fresher air across northern parts of the UK, but still some warmth in that cloudier airstream towards the southeast. Now, the weather has been flip-flopping after that. It now looks like we've got high pressure extending towards the UK, and if anything, moving its way northwards. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was a bit further south and we had more of an Atlantic wind coming in, but not as windy as the weather that we're seeing for the start of the weekend at the very least. Goodbye.
Well, thank you very much, Darren Bet. One thing I could really describe about this weather forecast or prediction forecast of what will potentially happen from this week and also next week, it almost felt like as if this weather forecast was pretty much everything but the kitchen sink. And yes, I didn't make that one up. It was just a legitimate prediction. Or maybe something like a prediction description. That's how I'm going to say it. But hey, yep, it pretty much just felt like as if this video was straightforward, rocking against the clock. Don't know what to really say, but yes. Just another one of those old, boring, but decent enough weather forecast videos on BBC. Of course, I don't use iPlayer because I don't have a flippin' TV license. That's the first reason. And second, I don't even have a TV. My goodness me, guys. But anyways, yes, that is going to be about it today about the weather forecast in relationship to the storm, which is, of course, Storm Amy. And now we've actually got a whole bunch of weather warnings. So we had yellow warning with rain across parts of Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, and then, yes, all these warnings that talk about the rain hitting, of course, on Friday and Saturday. Then you've also got wind warnings across Northern Ireland, the rest of the UK, as obvious as this sounds, and then we've also got amber warnings of some parts of Scotland, and also the wind. Well, basically a lot of wind warnings, which are in amber, and then you've also got yellow warning of wind, which is pretty much where I am at the moment. Talking about how good or bad the wind is it going to be like. I'll tell you what, yeah, get prepared for some really turbulent events coming along the way. So I'm going to straightforward leave it here. And I don't know what to really say, but yes, I've got no commercial connections and or endorsements to the BBC company or the British Broadcasting Company because, well, they always seem to make a whole bunch of tatty guff, rubbish, thingy-magummy, whatever I'm going to say, hey, because none of it just straightforward makes sense. Because, you know, who knows? The world seems to be very unpredictable these days, and, you know, history can be straightforward translated as facts somehow. But anyways, I'm just going to leave this video here before it gets so excruciatingly painful to do one of these weather commentary videos. I'd love to, but hey, boy oh boy, they take a long time to make. I'll be able to do that, but hey, I'm going to straightforward leave this video here. As always, if you really enjoyed this video, maybe I have, maybe I didn't, but please give this video a very good like. Subscribe more for that videos in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching and bye for now.